you asked me before we started recording, how did I get into it? How did we get into it? And I mentioned to you that it was very early for me. I don't know why. Maybe it was a combination of having foreign parents and coming into a new world, and then being a refugee, this and that. That I thought about the world more than somebody who was born pretty sanitized, goes to school, doesn't know really about real stuff, you know, because, and that's not a bad thing. We hope that someday we would be part of a generation that doesn't have to go through a lot of trauma.
Mm.
But, it reminds you of the meme, good times lead to weak men lead to bad times, bad times. It reminds you of that a little bit. So, but I like to say to people that the proof is in the pudding about why you should try to raise your vibration always that you can, rather than going the other way. Because if you give yourself to the light, if you give yourself to being positive, and then nurturing your temple, nurturing your mind, consuming good things tend to improve in your life 360, like all over the place. Your relationships improve, your health improves. The proof is in the pudding. But if you go to the darkness, and then you become a nihilist, and you drink too much, and you party too much, and you hang out with lascivious, kind of dark people, mischievous people all the time, you get the other thing. You get depressed, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, life really sucks. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And that's the God mind versus the other mind, same mind, whatever you want to call it. But those things are real. But the question is, and a lot of people will ask me, well, what are we supposed to do about it? What are we supposed to do about it? And I get frustrated when people ask me that, because it seems like they're trying to absolve themselves of any responsibility
Mm.
in the effort to become a better person, as if it's so difficult and worse to be a positive individual rather than being negative, which it isn't. It's better to be positive. But we're programmed in so many ways to avoid that. So, what can you say to a person that says, well, what are we supposed to do about it?
Yeah, I get that question all the time too. And I always tell people to start by working on yourself, to start analyzing your own life, because the more people that improve individually, the more the collective consciousness vibrates and improves. It's just like, take one person and teach them how to meditate, and they can send love to the world. And then, they can, once they become changed, once their vibration starts becoming higher, it ultimately attracts higher vibrational people into their life.
Mhm.
And really, life is a individual passage. It's an individual learning experience. And if many people start working on themselves, then ultimately, then they can get to a point where they'll have the feeling where I've seen it happen so many times, where we've worked with people that, just like that, maybe had severe addictions, they've lost everything, they went through traumas, they were sick, about to die, they were on the worst case scenarios. And once we educate them about all this stuff, once they go through all the detox and they detox their body, once they start becoming more mindful, once they start doing some meditation, they change to the point where their self-confidence starts coming back up. And so we kind of have a little thing that's like health equals self-confidence equals success. Because once they feel self-confident, I'm talking about, because we would ask them, when's the last time you looked in the mirror and you actually said, I love myself? Like, when's the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I am awesome? Like, I'm having the best time ever. Like, this is awesome. And the answer we would get was always like, well, when I was a cheerleader in high school, when I just had everything going, I had the best body. I mean, or the guys, when I was a football player in high school. And these are like 50 or 60-year-olds. It's like,
Right.
that's the last time that you remember
Right.
where you feel like you had everything going for you and you felt self-confident and everything. So, that's what's missing. So we would detox and bring back that self-confidence, and then bring back that self-love for themselves. And then they get to a point where they get excited again to get up. They're excited to look in the mirror at themselves. They feel that love for themselves again. And they're so excited about it that the people around them start noticing. because their energy and their vibration starts to rise. And then people start asking them, "What are you doing? Yeah, you look so different. Wow, you're vibrant over there. Wow, like you're really changing. Oh, look, you lost so much weight. Look at your skin. What are you doing?" And people will ask you. And then you can say, and then you can share what you're doing with them. So to
Mhm.
me, it always starts from within. It always, but you also have to have that desire to change, and you have to have, what I've also noticed is what doesn't work is when a mom brings their daughter to you and says, "I want you to do that for my daughter."
Right.
Or they say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm sending my son to see you," because if you don't want to be there yourself, or if you don't want to create that change. So we stopped working with people like that. It's just like, you don't want to be here because your mom, they would come in, "Oh, my friend sent me in here, said you can help me out or help me change," or "My mom sent you." No, you need to be here because you want to be here. You need to be here because you want to change.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's not going to work. But we've seen it happen over and over again. I mean, when someone takes the responsibility and when someone detoxifies their life, it's almost like starting over, because it's like, yeah, you've been doing all this stuff for 30 years and you haven't been balancing out your life. It's like the executives and the millionaires and the billionaires that come to see me. They're like, people think that these movie stars and these social media stars and these billionaires and all these millionaires and all these people are like the happiest people in the world. I know, because I see half of Hollywood. Okay, like I deal with all these famous influencers. I deal with all these billionaires, and I can tell you right now, what you see on their social media channels, what you see on their Instagram and all these other things, and you see, them flying around in jets all the time, and you have this altered reality of the life that they're living. They're severely depressed. They're going through panic attacks. They're severely unhealthy. They're unhappy. And, I ask them, what would you do? What would you do different, especially for the millionaires and the billionaires that are out there? And they always say, "I wish I woulda." I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I
Mm.
wish I would have spent more time with myself. I wish I would have spent more time, you know, balanced my life out with my kids. Usually they're divorced 2 or 3 times because they
Mhm.
focused on the things that were not important. Yes, I mean, making money is important, but then you're losing all the other attributes in life. And the thing is, what they learn, what hits them upside the head, is that time is the most valuable thing that you have,
Mm.
because time is the one thing you can never get back. You
Yeah.
can't, you can always make more money, you can always get your health back, you can always do a lot of things. But, you can't get that time with your kids back. You can't get that time, with that time that you could have spent with yourself back either. That's why it's so important to always, be mindful of what you're doing. And this is something that I'm still trying to learn, even with my kids. I can pick them up. I can have a million things on my mind one day. My mind's going a million miles an hour. I can pick them up from school and they can be telling me all kinds of stories. And I get home 15 minutes later and they can say, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about that?" And I realize it hits me upside the head. Oh my gosh, I didn't hear one word they said. And so, and this happens with people all the time because we're living in a world where we're so distracted. We have so many things going on that we've forgotten what it is to be mindful.
It is widely known that the tobacco and diet industries lobby governments with scientific propaganda for years until proven guilty in court. The artificial treatment of our water is the next corporate deception.
For example, virtually every nation in Europe has rejected the use of artificial fluoride. International studies since the 40s have repeatedly shown that endocrine and neurological effects increase after repeated consumption, even at the levels accepted by US government.
Epic Water Filters is the most thorough industry-grade filtration system that Houston Ensemble has ever used. They reduce heavy metals upwards of 99.5%, such as lead and mercury, bacteria like E. coli, and poisons like chromium, nitrate, and fluoride.
Join us in our journey to living a toxin-free life and get your Epic Water Filter using discount code Houston Ensemble lowercase one word. That's Houston Ensemble lowercase one word for 20% off your Epic Water Filter.